Let's see. There we go. I think we've got audio now. Did that work? Making sure somebody tells me that audio is working. Okay, we're good. Close that. Okay, tonight we are working in acrylics. I just put hand lotion on, so I can't touch the painting for a second here. That's what I get for washing my hands right before the stream starts. Anyway, I'm going to be working in acrylics. I will show you the canvas in just a moment. We'll flip over here first, though, to the palette. I'm working with Liquitex Basics as usual. These are my favorite brand of paints, not because they're cheap, that's just an added bonus. I just really like how they work for my techniques. So I'm going to be using primarily, looks like deep violet, white, and black are going to be my main colors. I might use light magenta, or just magenta, or even a little bit of red. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. We're going to play with this. We're going, oh, thank you, Red Metal. We're going to be starting with just black and white. That's all we have to worry about on this, which makes everything much, much easier. One of the things that happens a lot is we overcomplicate the painting. You can get to the same end 20 different ways, but why not choose the easiest way? I mean, I can cut my grass with a pair of scissors. Not going to be the most productive use of my time. Let's save time and simplify things. So in this case, we're going to paint everything in black and white, and then we'll glaze color over it. And it's super easy. And don't worry, you don't need glazing medium. I actually don't like glazing medium, with very few exceptions. I like water to thin my paints down. Do I have everything I need tonight? Not likely. I would go ahead and assume probably not, Jason. Okay. Also, ask your questions. You can leave those in the, leave a comment with your questions, and I'll be answering those at the end of the live stream. We've got the hounds over here, so any of your super chats will get them a treat. I didn't say it for you this time, Gibson. And if we've got enough time, I may bring French Fry in. We'll swap the hounds out for my parrotlet. French Fry has decided he likes taking treats from my hands, so we can actually do super chats with him now, which is so much fun. Oh, Karen gave us a super chat. Do you boys want a super chat? They were waiting, Karen. You have good time. Oh man, they are excited. Yes, that's what an excited greyhound looks like. They're not like jumpy or anything usually. Okay. Let's see. And you have a parrotlet too. What color is yours? That is my favorite type of bird. I mean, I love all our birds. Like French Fry is just the best. Let's see. So the paper I have on here is tracing paper. I've pre-drawn out my flower, and then I use transfer paper underneath it to transfer. I have one of my hair stuck to that. That's classy. To transfer the image onto the canvas. I've pre-painted my canvas black so that it just makes everything easier. Now this canvas is actually, do I have the label? This one is a Fredrix. This was provided by Fredrix for us to use for this. So just for transparency, I'm sponsored by Fredrix, but they were already the only canvas I used, so no different for me there since like 2012. I swore off all canvases but Fredrix because of problems I had with generic crap from like Hobby Lobby, Michaels, all of that. Just Era Brothers was a nightmare too. But anyway, this is the canvas that I'm using right now. It is a Dixie Pro Series 12-ounce cotton archival canvas board. It is thick, it is heavy duty, it is also too rough. It's got too much tooth for my techniques. So what I do in this case, I actually prefer the watercolor canvas boards, but I ran out of those, so I'm using these ones. With these, what I do is put 3 coats of gesso, sand it with 220 grit sandpaper when it's all dry. Now I've got a nice, super smooth canvas, so it's gonna be really, really easy for me to get smooth blending. Okay, and I do have an auction running for this. If you are in the US, let's see, I think you have a dryer shirt. Do I? It would not surprise me, because I actually just took this out of the dryer. Let's see, is it on me? That would be hilarious. I don't think so. I think my shirt's just really ugly. No, I think I'm okay. Let me know if somebody else sees one. I'm not seeing it, but it would not surprise me. See, now I'm disappointed. I think that would have been really funny. I don't feel anything on my arms. Let's see. I'm checking my butt. Don't mind me, just rubbing my butt on the camera. That's not that kind of video, Lisa. Okay, so let's move on. Behind my collar. You found it. Okay, that is hilarious. Thank you. At least you know I wash my clothes. And I also, actually, I can't leave that in a trash can that Gibson can get to. I'm just gonna throw it up on my art desk. Gibson eats dryer sheets. It's been a problem since we got him. We have to make sure those do not fall on the floor because he kept swallowing them. Yeah, It does not smell pretty when it comes back up. Okay, that is funny. Okay, let's go ahead and I think we can get started now. So what I will start with is just my white. I'm going to be using my Taklon bristled filberts. I'm going to start with these flower petals that are kind of fuzzy on the outer edge. Actually, I take that back. I'm going to start by creating this light fuzz color back here. Okay, let's see, and I'm going to need a second brush to smudge it. So I've got a Taklon bristled filbert and another one that's kind of damaged. It's a little bit frayed there. I'll be using the frayed one to smudge things out. You can use any brush for that, really, though. The link for the auction says it failed. Let me check that. I'm having so many technical difficulties before the stream even started tonight. Let me see what happened to the auction. I probably set the wrong date. Yep, I set the wrong date. Hold on, I need to reset that. Man, at least you can see how easy it is to set up auctions on my thing. Let's see, dashboard. And luckily, I'm already logged into my website on this computer, thank God. Okay, let's go down to WooCommerce. Products. I am on a roll tonight. I don't think I can just relist it. I should be able to, but I don't think the program I'm using allows for that. Oh, I had it start tonight, but end yesterday. That I shouldn't even allowed me to do that. That is ridiculous. Auction, what can I extend? Are you sure you want to continue? I don't know. Oh, it let me do that. Okay, so that is correct, and let's change that to tonight, 2022. So that's an improvement on that app, because it didn't used to let me do that, or for the one that I'm using anyway. I used to have to make an all-new listing. Let's see. Still showing auction failed. Did it not save? Do I not know the date? Because that's also possible. 2022, 1/8/2022. Update. You say you updated. Let's see if you updated. It's still saying auction failed. Okay, so remember how I said it didn't work before? Yeah, apparently still not. So let's just make a new listing and I'll have to change the link. I apologize for this. Products, add a new product. We're just going to copy, paste, which always gets me in all kinds of trouble because everything ends up being messed up. Dahlia, copy. That one. Image. Set product image. This shows you how fast this is to do. Change it to a, nope, you are going to be a auction. New, starting bid price, 75. Reserve. We're actually putting it for today this time. 20 done. 22 done. Bid increment there. Auction, and let's hit publish and then change the link. And I have to delete the other one in case it decides it does now work, because that would not surprise me. Hold on one second. I'm getting texts. It's 2025. Does it not say 20? What does it say? Is that the problem? No, it does. What are you talking about, Nick? That's right. Okay, I'm going to have to take the old one now. Settings. I'm sorry, guys. This will take just a second here. A second when I... all products, in stock, action failed. Move you to the trash. Take the link for this one. Put it on the front page. Copy, you. I'm getting somewhere, I promise. Okay, on the front page, let's change the link there. You need this link. So if you go to lacry.com, if you want to bid, the new link is almost live. You'd have to refresh the page. Oh, I was saying 22. No, 22 hours. It's military time for the hours on this. And saved and exit. There. Okay, I think we're good. If you go to lacry.com, the link on the front page, it takes us to the new one. We are good, and I don't think I can easily change this on the live stream right now. Let me see. Actually, I'm going to close all of those down because I've got too many dang windows open. Can I edit? I don't think I can edit this without, oh, maybe I can. Yes. Okay, that one. And paste. Save. We are good. Everything is set. That only took 12 minutes to get us started. Okay, let's start painting. You scooch over. And now. Ta-da! Okay, painting. Paying attention. Yeah, that always screws me up because I'm not good with military time, so I'm sitting there having to count on my fingers when things start. But it's 2,200 hours is when it needs to end. Or start. No, end. Okay, let's paint. So I'm going to start with just white paint. I've got to have a wet brush there. The one I'm going to be smudging with is slightly damp. And I'm going to take a bit of white paint, and I've thinned this with water. And let's just put that in a couple of places where I'll end up glazing. Oh, I'm going to have to put that on a bit thicker because, so fun fact, I guess would be a better way to put it. I have, and I'm just going to smudge the outer edge. I used really thick paint. I did not thin my black down with that much water. And so one of the problems with that is it is super slick and things don't stick as well. I'm just going to use a mop brush for the very center to smooth that out, not the outer edges. It's not going to, if I want to smooth the outer edges because I'm going up against dry paint, I need to use a clean, slightly damp brush. So like right here, it's kind of bumpy. If I use too much, it erases. So let's see, like that, just kind of erased it because it was starting to dry. Let's fix it this way then, because it's starting to lift. Having a weird dry time because honestly, I should have thinned my black down with more water. There we go. We'll use the fine mist sprayer for that technique. We'll use the other techniques. Don't listen to me. What I'm doing is taking a fine mist sprayer and I will get this wet so I can blend it with a mop brush just to make it easier because when I applied the black paint, I used it really thick. I did not add that much water because I was being lazy and I didn't want to have to put a second layer. The problem is that means my paint is really plasticky and so it's super slippery and it's kind of weird for how things are going to stick to it. This is a bit too thick. Let's lift some of that. Now the mop brush that I'm using here, this only works wet into wet, and that means everything that I'm applying, wet paint up against either actual wet paint or water. Like the dry part of the paint has to be wet with water, and that's what I'm using the fine mist sprayer for, to get the mop brush to blend smoothly. If I'm blending, let's say I put paint here and don't use the fine mist sprayer, so I've got dry here, wet paint here, this brush, the mop brush you just saw me do, will not work at all. That only works wet into wet. If I'm blending wet paint into dry, I want to use a normal brush that I apply it with and then take a second kind of more stiff brush with a little bit of water to blend that out. Okay. We're going to use the other technique for most of that though. So let me go ahead and dry that. The mop brush that I use that I normally use, that one is actually 1-4 painting. I just happen to be in front of me. But normally the ones that I like are blush brushes. So if you've got makeup brushes that are clean, you can actually, like if you don't need it for the makeup anymore, because I know I collect brushes for makeup and then don't end up using them, those are wonderful. Okay. But that's the only brush that's going to get you that kind of softness. Now, the softness that we're going to do over here, the way I'm going to blend, you could do that instead of using a mop brush for that section. You can just leave that section solid too. It doesn't really matter. Let's dry that. Now that has to be completely dry. If I blend the way I'm going to blend over that, and that's not all the way dry, it'll lift chunks off of that. It feels not dry all the way. Okay. Now these outer flower petals are slightly out of focus, and I don't need them to be exact to the reference photo, but I do want something semi-close. And I'm going to be applying the paint same way. We'll do the white. I can just leave those kind of light all around. Actually, do I have a smaller? No, that one will work. Okay, so we've got this petal here. Comes in. I don't have these drawn out quite right. Why are you still, oh, weird. I'm like, why are you still telling me it's 2025? I know the message from Discord just came through, Nick. I'm so confused. I'm like, what is going on? Okay. Let's see. That petal went out that way. This one is going to come out this way. I'm just adding a few more because apparently I did not draw them all in. You go that way, and then this one will have one that way. Okay. And I'm just going to slightly, this brush, if it's too wet, it just erases it. I want that outer edge just to be, oh, it's lifting. Yeah, I am going to have problems tonight with the dry time on this, apparently. You know what? I'm just going to let that all smudge because that is going to be a hot mess. Hold on. I have to correct something that didn't go right. So I'm going to work like that's an eraser. For some reason, that dried. The reason that I'm struggling with this is that paint, that glossy paint, I put that black on too thick. Let's soften that out so I'm not fighting that later. My gosh. Okay, let's dry that again. But this time I'm going to let, oh, canvas is too hot. I'm not painting. I got flustered dealing with the technical side. Now I'm just not paying attention to the painting things I need to pay attention to. Okay, I'm going to actually let that cool for a moment here. And yes, drink water. I should have gotten coffee. Oh, I wish I had brought coffee in here tonight, because apparently that's what I need. Still really warm. We're going to give that a minute. One of the things I don't like too when I put the paint on so thick like I did the black, it's sticky or tacky. So it always feels wet, and it makes it very difficult for me to tell if it's really wet or not. So that's where you're going to see me have more chunks that pull up because I can't tell. So I'm having to guess at this point. Definitely thin your black with water. All your paint, I just like it better when it's thinned with more water than what I did here. Okay, now you're still warm. We're just going to stare at each other awkwardly. For the red metal asked how many mop brushes she should get, or he should get. Actually, don't know. That I would go with, I like to have at least 5. I say 5, but honestly, most of us are not going to invest that much money right at front. At least 2. 2 minimum, but more is better. Oh, Kristen, thank you so much for the super chat. Do you boys want a super chat? Thank you so, I said Kristen again. Why do I always call you Kristen? Kirsten. Thank you. Gibson just took it back to his bed. He's like, yeah, this is a big piece. We'll go eat here. Thank you so much. Okay, we're starting to dry. Let's see if I can get this right this time. My gosh. Ooh, I want this. I'm probably going to use you later. Okay. Trying again. Let's get that outer edge. I need to move this along. I'm going to run out of time. And I'm just going to just a little bit go over that outer edge to soften it, because that is just going to kind of blend, there we go, into that background, and then leave that alone. That one's good. That one, we've got another one back here. Just one little brush stroke to soften that. That one will be dark, so I don't need it to be as bright white. We've got another one here, or somewhere around there. Because these are flowers, I don't need them to be exact. That has too much water. To the reference photo, just close is close enough. But I want these to just be kind of soft edges. I don't want them super strong, because those are our out of focus ones. Okay, that works. The rest of these are much easier because I don't have to blend that outer edge. Let's dry that. See if I can move this along. Okay, now for the rest of these flowers. This is always really fun to me because it doesn't take that much to make it look really good. So we want to focus most of these petals in the reference photo you can get over at patreon.com/lacree. The direct link for this photo is in the video description. If you checked earlier and it was locked that you had to be a member, I screwed that up. It was supposed to be public. I have since fixed it. So here, this flower is going to be light all the way in. Now, as we get into these ones, we want to fade and let the inner dark, the black show. So right now, this entire petal can just be light. So that's pretty easy, and we want that outer edge more sharp, so I'm not going to be blending that like I did a moment ago. What? Now if I have streaks, I want to make sure they're going the direction that the streaks of that flower petal has. Like if the little streaks of black show through. And this one's a little bit soft on the edge. Actually, that looks fine. We're just going to leave it like that. Now, I don't care if this is a little fuzzy here because I'm going to fix that. I can clean that up with the next petal. Now, you may think, well, shouldn't you just paint it all white? No, because we're going to, as we get in here, let a lot of that black background show through. And even this one gets pretty dark in the center, so I'm not going to pull all the way in. I'll come out and add black. So that outer edge. Now, because I put that black paint on too thick and didn't thin it with water, I have to actually use less water when I'm blending this, which is part of why I was having that initial challenge. If you put your paint on too thick, your future layers are going to want to be pretty thick as well in order to stick. Otherwise, they'll almost bead up. I'm using a mop brush just to soften some of those brush strokes. They'll sort of bead on the canvas. So if you're having that happen, you painted and your first layer went down fine, your next layers are beading up on the base layer, it's because you didn't use very much water on your base layer. If I do that, I'm going to sand it down and start over. Like just sand it so that it's a little bit more rough again and put another coat on, but then the next one with more water, because it's really annoying to paint on one, or I find it to be annoying to paint when I've got this plasticky surface. Now, there are paints like Golden's or Liquitex Heavy Body, Liquitex Soft Bodies. They're going to be plasticky no matter what. It's one of the reasons I don't use those paints. Not very often anyway. I just don't like that plasticky feel. So that's one of the things that's so nice about Liquitex Basics. It does not take much paint or much water to give you this really nice surface to work on. Now that one's going to get darker in the center. And I can even start pulling a little bit of black. I don't even have much black on my canvas, but I can pull black into the deeper shadows now as I work my way through there. As that smudges, I'll get more of a gray tone. Why didn't I thin the paint down before I painted this? I thought I did, but I intentionally wanted it to be a bit thicker than normal so that it was more opaque. but I thought, I was in a rush and I thought I had it thinned down enough and I just did not. I mean, I was using water with it, but I kept layering it and yeah, too much while it was still wet. So it's just thick and glossy and annoying to work with for me. Okay, let's come over here. This one definitely starts fading into the black, so that's what we're going to start doing there. And see how as I leave streaks, I want them following the direction of that petal. And I'm just going to pull that down. This brush is clean and slightly damp. Again, I'm going to rinse it off because it's starting to lift too much water, and if it gets too, or not too much water, too much paint, that way here I can make it fade a little bit better. See how I'm leaving it streaky. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing on this one. Outer edge stays nice and clean. The inside, I'll pull it down on. Now the end result, it's still going to be a beautiful painting, and it'll still, like, it doesn't affect the end result not being good or anything. And when it's varnished, it looks the same, whether I put the thick paint on at first or not. It's just annoying while I'm painting. I have to adjust my techniques a little bit more than I'd like to. I'm gonna leave some streaks intentionally now. Those streaks will end up showing a bit once we start glazing. Fill that one in a bit more now that that's drying. Now, luckily, as I get these additional layers that are covering the black and it's started to dry, the paint is more what I like to work on. It's a little bit more matte. I am not a fan of glossy acrylics, that's for sure. Not because it doesn't look good. The end result is fine. They just are, just for how I blend, they make my life a little more difficult than it needs to be. And that's what I find with glazing mediums too. I don't like them. They just, it's not that you can't make a beautiful painting with glazing mediums. They don't work with my techniques. I'm going to dab. This is the clean brush, and we're going to pull that. Oops, too much water. We're going to pull that in. See how it's like erasing more than it normally would? If this was a more matte paint, it wouldn't be lifting quite that much. Yeah, that is, and that's not an issue of being dry. That's just an issue of, or I mean hot like it was earlier. It just dries weird on that higher gloss. Tonight's video is brought to you by Why Lisa Hates Glossy Paints. That one needs more black in the center, but I'll come back through the opposite side once the white dries. I'm just going to make this easier on myself and do all the white first. This one has actually a thicker edge right there. We're going to leave that. And then the inside. I'm going to start by smudging that into the black, and then we'll just let that blend a bit. And again, make sure if you've got streaks, they go the direction that that flower should have. That's going to need another coat of white when that sets a moment anyway. This is so funny because it's such a hot mess right now, but it's not going to be. I promise. I need this over a little bit, so let's move that camera. There we go. Okay, we're starting to get to some of these smaller petals, so I'll end up having to switch brushes in a moment to something smaller. And then just smudge that center. See, that's you, that's you. Okay, this is your outer edge. Let's do that separately. And then just blend that in a bit. I'm going to leave that for just a second. This stays dark. Oops, that was supposed to get a little bit darker. We'll just come back through with the black later. Soften that one out. Red Metal said, when I use use acrylic, all my bright colors dull when it dries, so I haven't been a fan. It's not that they're dulling. So if you're using a flat acrylic like I do with the Liquitex Basics, when paint is wet, the light reflects different. And so the colors look different. The colors aren't shifting. They're not really dull. Put a gloss varnish on it and they'll look just like they did when they were wet. The colors shouldn't be shifting or changing or really being dull. It's just that you need that gloss varnish to get that nice finish. If you see videos on like Instagram, I post them all the time. I've got some reels here on YouTube where I've come through and defined my, defined is what I'm doing right now. But what I did on the paintings, I put the gloss varnish over it and the colors just like come to life. It's just the gloss varnish. The colors will go back to just what they looked like when it was wet. Once you varnish it. Make sure you photograph before that though, because it is not going to, when something has a high gloss, it's a pain to try to varnish. Now, that said, if you're using cheap, crappy, like the crafter paint that comes in a little jar, that's meant for like crafts. That's not fine art. That may not dry nicely no matter what you do. So I'm going to switch to two smaller brushes. I've got a smaller round brush and a smaller filbert. The filbert is what I'm going to use to blend. The round brush is what I'm going to use to build this shape. Because of the glare, I can't. There we go. Now I can see it. Brush again is slightly damp, and we're just going to pull that color in, or not color, but the white in. Don't worry if your shape is not exact to the reference photo. Just go for close. It is crazy how quick that dries on glossy paint. I need to make a video specifically talking about that phenomenon, I guess, because I think that's one of the reasons that a lot of people don't like acrylics. They think, okay, I bought Golden's, and Golden's is a great paint. I'm not saying it's not, but I got Golden's. Why can't I get it to do? Or I've got Liquitex Soft Body because it's more expensive and it's the professional one, so why can't I get it to do what I see an artist on YouTube or somewhere else is doing? It's the gloss. Like, I do not like acrylic paints. Like, it is not a fun experience for me. And I haven't been doing this forever, so I'm not a spring chicken over here. And I still, like, it annoys me. Now, if you're painting in a more impressionistic style, or you're, like, more expressive and you're leaving those heavier brush strokes, then I like the heavy body or the soft body paints. That makes sense at that point. But for the style that I paint with more detail and blending the way I do not want a glossy paint. And that's one of the reasons I don't like glazing mediums, because it adds that gloss. And then that makes it really difficult to blend after the fact. Can it be done? Yes. But it's annoying and it makes everything so much more difficult. And that's one of the reasons, like with this painting, I was trying to make it as easy as possible because, well, because it's a live stream and I have limited time. But that's one of the reasons this style or painting this way normally is such a good thing, because I can do it quickly. I don't want to make things harder. I'm just looking at that photo and looking at the abstract shapes I see there. Now, if you like flowers, make sure to check out the video I just posted on Patreon today. That's in acrylics, not on gloss, but that one is in acrylics, the wildflowers, part 1 of the ravens with the wildflowers. I posted that today. Oh my gosh, I have so much footage with wildflowers. I had to break it into 2 separate lessons. So part 1 just went live today. If you want to follow along, or just you don't even have to follow the whole lesson. You can just pick a few of those flowers and add it to your own painting, or just paint those flowers. But it's a really good one for talking about painting the abstract shapes and making flowers look realistic. because what I'm looking at right now does not even a little bit look like these don't look like flowers. These are just weird shapes. I just want to copy what I'm seeing in that photo like an abstract. See, I just smudged that out. Got the outer edge on some of those petals, so I'm going to put those in. I'll come back through and brighten some of these petals again later. Right now we are definitely still at the ugly stage. Oh, why did I lose YouTube? Oh, please still be live streaming. Where are we? Okay, we're still here. Lord. Tonight is just night of let's see how stressed we can make Lisa. I should have had wine with tonight's live stream. I probably would have made things way worse, though. Probably would have been like, screw it, let's just talk. I don't think I even have wine. It's not even like I can have it after the stream. See again, look at how weird that shape is. This is what I'm talking about, where things are just odd and aren't going to make a ton of sense, but you want to trust that reference photo. And as long as you're close, you'll be fine. It'll look like a flower. The brush is starting to get a little bit dry, so let's dab that in water. Okay, what is this shape here? What am I looking at? I think it goes like this. You come up. Yeah, that's a really odd one. What in the world is that? This is actually a great question that comes up a lot. Creative said, I really like that you are so animal friendly, but instead of the dog cam, I would find it much more helpful if you displayed the reference image, especially at the stage. Go download the reference image. I provide that for everyone. You can go download it and put it anywhere on the screen you want, and you can even make it larger. That area of the screen is so tiny, you can't, it's not that helpful. Go download that. Link is in the video description. It is free, unless I screw up sometimes like I did today and had it locked behind a paywall, but I fixed it. You should be able to download that now for free, and you can put it anywhere on your screen. The dogs earn super chats, which pays for this live stream. So, you know, they're working hard. They need to be here. But actually, that was why I originally put the dogs in the camera. The super chat thing just worked out that way. But I originally did that. It was intentional. I don't want the reference photo on this screen would be so small. It is not what you need to be looking at. When you are looking at your reference photos, I want you to get in the habit of looking at them larger. Look at the details. Pay attention to those. When you look at little reference photos on screen are only helpful for you if you're painting craft style things, one-stroke style painting, super beginner like painting with a twist style where you're drinking wine and painting something that looks, I'm looking for a kind way to word that. Fun. We'll go with fun. But for what I'm teaching you, the way that I paint with more details and making we're like actually working to improve your painting skills, we need you to look at a bigger reference photo. So now I don't mean to I probably sound like I'm mocking you, and I do not mean to do that at all. You are not the only person to ask that. Everyone always does. So, I mean, it is a common thing I get, but there's a reason that I want you to download it. Look at it larger, blow it up larger on your screen so you can really see those details. If you're painting along and you are looking at a tiny little box on the screen, You're not seeing what you need to see. Jason says, the dogs work, lazy dogs most of the time, all of the time. Art by MB said, for the good puppies, Happy New Year's, everyone. Thank you so much. You got a super chat, boys. There you go. There's your super chat. And that is why we keep the puppies on the screen. Well, they're not really puppies anymore. Oh, gosh, it's old man. Thank you so much. Okay. That's it. Go lay down. Go lay down. Lay down. 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 Wait, cow. Go lay down. That's a bad cow. Okay. Gibson, down. Earning your keep, but lay down. That was hard work, wasn't it? Okay. I have to constantly check this camera likes to turn itself off. Or freeze up, not turn itself off. Let's see, we've got a petal that kind of comes out that away. Apparently didn't draw everything in. Let's work with the outer ones and I'll bring it in from there. Let's see. Okay, you come up and go down in a super weird shape. Whatever, you can be weird. I'll take it. Yeah, one of the things I like to do, speaking of reference photos, I have a monitor. I'm going to show you guys really quick. Actually, let's just do it this way. My monitor is right up there. My reference photo is very large, which makes it, there we go. Do I have that fixed? I can zoom in to see details that I want or zoom out as needed, and that has been the most helpful thing I got. It's mounted to the wall. It's like a TV mount. I mounted it to the back of the monitor and stuck that on the wall, and it makes life much easier. Strongly recommend it, but you want, that way I can look at it large. I'm not wasting a bunch of computer ink. That was really annoying before the days of it was convenient to have separate monitors. But I used to print stuff and it never printed right. It always printed too dark or it's super tiny. And I mean, it's better than nothing, but this has been like so much nicer. I don't even know which petal you are. I'm just gonna making stuff up at this point. We're gonna soften it out here, just smudging that in. It stays harsh on top, so we'll leave that shape. You are that one. You are, what in the world do I have going on here? I think you come up like that. Yes, let's go with that. Something like that. Now, if you struggle with the abstract shape concept, you're not alone, but flip your work upside down. Look at your reference photo and your artwork upside down. You will notice things you never noticed before. Also, if your work, like mine, is super rough and kind of like, well, harsh, like, I don't even know how to compare it. It just looks bad. It's supposed to at this stage. We're going to be cleaning things up and refining things as we go. And this is really the long part. The rest of this, the parts that make this painting look good, that happens quick. You won't believe how fast this starts to come together. Just smudge this down. But even already we're starting to see, oops, too much water. I can see it's too much water because it is beating up. I don't want you to beat up. I don't remember what I was going to talk about there. I'm sure it'll come to me. Probably not. I'm just using what paint is still on that brush to get that last little loop over there. The blending brush still had a little bit of paint. This one's kind of in the background, so I'm just going to blend from a small area because I don't need it to stand out as much as like a brighter white, lighter one. Same thing here. I'm just, what got lifted on this brush I'm using, blending out. I think there should be another one over here. We've got just the hint inside, so it's not just straight black there. Okay, I think we're good. So now I'm going to start defining things a little bit better, worrying about the little streaks and such like that. Okay, I'm excited. This is always the part. Like I just gave myself goosebumps because I'm super excited. Oh, I guess that means I was supposed to be an artist when I give myself goosebumps. Because I'm excited about the next stage. It's just so much fun. So this is where like all the annoying part where it just kind of looks terrible is done. Now you get to have fun. So I'm still going to do the same thing where I'm applying the paint and smudging it, but I'm going to be a little bit more controlled about some of those shapes. Let's go ahead and dry this just in case. Oh, we've got to. We'll do that in a second here. Oh, also, what is going on here? That is not supposed to be bald. Why are you bald? There's some Rogaine. Look, it works. Okay. Okay, let's let that sit. And we've got a super chat from Pauline who said, let's keep the pups busy. You guys want to work? Oh, I didn't even have to say super chat. They were just like, yeah, we want to work. We want to work for that super chat. Oh, can you see Gibson's chatter face? Do you go to chatters? Can't see it. Do you have chatters? I don't know if you can see his snoot shaking. Oops, I dropped it on the floor. You get a floor treat. Greyhounds are so funny when they get super excited for something. Their whole head, like Gibson's the worst. His whole head will just kind of shake, vibrate, like his teeth start chattering. So cute. Okay. Now to have some fun. I'm not even waiting until they lay down like normal because I'm too excited. I want to start now. This makes up for all the frustration I was feeling earlier with the tech problems and whatever. Okay, so I'll just use this smaller filbert. Now the reason that I go with a filbert, so that has the rounded tip, that is not going to leave me as harsh of a brush stroke as like a flat brush. A flat brush, it's just that start and stop is so harsh. A filbert gives you just a softer look, so for most things, I prefer a filbert. So let's get those streaks. What is this? Gibson is laying on the floor behind me. You can't, here. Oh, I can't fix it. No, go lay down. I didn't move it so to give you anything. There's nothing in my hand. It's a paintbrush. He was like, I'll just lay close to you in case treats magically happen again. Spontaneous treats. Okay, let's get some more of the white in here. This definitely needs to be lighter. You can stay dark. You get some streaks. I'm just starting to build up where those streaks will go. They don't, most of the streaks will happen with the magenta, but I'm going to soften out the edges though. Technically, this is one petal, and then there's a petal there, but whatever. Mine's just going to be one big, thick petal. Like me, he had too many Christmas snacks. Okay, let's define you are a hot mess. We need to get a lot more of the white in there because you are super messy. And this one is a little bit bright right on the tip there. And then, whoops, apparently in the middle. We're just going to pull that down. See, I'm focusing on the outer edge, not the center, although because I have used a canvas that is too glossy, let's use this tiny little mop brush. Wrong brush. You definitely have a much brighter end. Just pull that in a bit more. Not everything needs to be blended. That is very important. We talked about that a lot in the wildflower video, or at least I talked about it once. Maybe it wasn't a lot. I don't remember. I had to re-record parts because my microphone died after I thought I'd been recording for an hour. So some of it got done twice. I feel like I talked about it a lot. Maybe I didn't. But anyway, one of the things we talked about is you don't need to blend every single thing. The more zoomed into something I'm like in here, I'm going to do a bit more blending. But when it comes to like doing smaller things, especially, and when I get into here, let those brush strokes show. You don't have to blend every little brush stroke. If one, like that actually looks good, I'm leaving it alone. I don't need to blend it out. Okay, except maybe right there. Sometimes I want to smudge and soften an edge. Sometimes leave it harsh. Some of these get a lot darker in the inside, so I can leave those. Just going to make a few brush strokes coming in this way. Let's see, Sasha said, would you do the same if the background was green and the flower was, for example, yellow? So everything you paint white now would start with yellow. I need to see the photo of what you're talking about. I don't always do it the same. I would not want a yellow flower having black right up against it like this. Black doesn't look good touching yellow or blending into it like that, so I would not think I would do it the same. And this part of the background is going to be green, so you can do it separately. But I would probably, instead of black as a base, have like a dark purple or something like that, which would look better with the yellow. But I'd have to see the photo to know for sure. Okay, let's start glazing color. Let's dry this. Patty said, when do you hold your brush back further? It seems to watch. I seem to want to hold it near the tip. So it depends on what I'm doing. When I'm doing fine, clean details, like little stuff, if I'm using a liner brush, you'll see me hold it up closer, but never so close that I can't see the bristles. If I can't see the bristles like that, I'm holding way too close. You need to be able to see what you're doing. But most of the time where I want more movement, more freedom in how that brush moves, so I can move my wrist and get just a more natural brush stroke, I'm gonna hold back farther. So it really depends on what I'm doing. Teeny tiny details, I am going to be a lot closer though. Now let's dry this and we can start glazing. Favorite brand of varnish for acrylics is Liquitex High Gloss. Okay, I'm going to need a larger brush for applying this. Let's go with You Will Work for the background, and I'm going to start with back here. That is going to be green, kind of a greenish blue. For a glaze, I do not want white. White is going to make it foggy. I'm just tinting the color a bit. I may add a little bit of red iron oxide just to neutralize that a bit because it was more fluorescent than what I want. And I'm just going to brush that over what I had. That's thinned with a bit of water, and it just tints the color. If some is a little bit more blue or a little bit more green because I didn't mix it all the way, great. It's detail without having to put in detail. Background is done. Now, the cool thing about that is if I would have tried blending the black into the green and mixing the colors and doing all of that, in the first place, I'm making it more complicated on myself because now I'm presented with two problems. I need to blend things smoothly and I need to get my colors to blend in the right areas correctly. Look how easy that was. All I had done, and let me show you on this camera because it might show a little bit better. Yeah, you can see the color more. I have areas that are darker black. I have areas this way that are that lighter green and blue. All I had to do is first do the shading with white, just white and black, let it dry, glaze color over. I separated my problems, my two challenges, blending the color and like mixing the right color and blending the color. I separated it into two individual things, so I only had to deal with one at a time. And that is what is going to make it so much easier. My flower is going to be super easy now. Now I'm going to mix the color. Now I'll worry about that. I've already got everything blocked in though. I'm not worried about trying to get the perfect shape for the petals. I already did it. That part's done. I separated the challenges that come with painting. Drawing or, you know, some of the shading and making sure the shapes are right. That problem already taken care of. Now I can worry about mixing the colors that I want. Okay. No, I don't want that big of a brush. Let's go. I'm going to use another Taklon bristled brush. And let's start with these guys. These are just a light pale pink. And I will be mixing white. Oh, I need to get paint out with it. I will be mixing some white with some of these to make it really light. I'm not just glazing. So I've got white, and I'm going to slowly pull that magenta into it. I don't want to start with magenta and start adding white to that pile, or I will just end up mixing a whole lot of not the color I want. Even now, that's more magenta than I want, so I'm going to use what little is on the brush and mix over here. And now, let's go ahead. And I do want that outer edge soft still, so I'm just going to do a little brush stroke there so it fades out into that green. And then I've got a little bit more magenta. I'm going to even add a little bit of red to that magenta. Right on this outer edge. I'm going to wipe that brush and let that blend softly. Oh, no, I'm going to reload that. More of the pink, so those will blend a little bit right on that edge. That stays. This same color, let's see, you're going to be that way. I had kind of another petal here. Let's make a little one there. This little guy in the background is also not super bright. We'll go ahead and use that color on you. You're the big one that ate too many Christmas snacks like I did. Oh, Patty said, I gave my dogs a treat, so your boys need one too. You want a super chat? Thank you so much, Patty. The boys definitely thank you. Was this tasty? Oh, nom. Okay, go lay down. Cow, 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 go lay down. Cow, why are, oh, he dropped a piece now. That's all over. We're just going to let him stand there until he decides to lay down, I guess. Okay, you're done. Now lay down. Down, down, down. The boys like your dog getting a treat. That worked out well for them, they said. So again, I've got my lighter pink, so that's the magenta. I did add a little bit of red. Now I need to pull some of those darker, I'm going to use a separate brush for that. I need more magenta, oops, too much red. Way too much red. There we go. We've got, oh, that's actually another petal over there. Well, there. Just soften you a little bit right there. And now we've got these darker areas. And they're going to blend up into that pink. And this brush still has wet pink paint, light pink on it, and let that streak up. I want some more white, so I can use that same brush, and I'm going to do thicker white paint, so I'm not mixing as much water this time, or any really. Let that, while it's still wet, just come on down. These ones aren't as much fun to blend because they're just kind of in the background. I like the little ones as we get over here. Those are more fun to me. That is really overexposed. It is much more pink in person. Joys of easel lighting and the cameras. In person, I can see it great. So I'm not full on glazing here because I need so much more white on the tip of some of these. Like I'm not, actually, this wouldn't technically be considered glazing at all now that I think about it. Because I want that to blend. The background would be what we call a glaze, where I'm just tinting the color. Here, this is wet into wet. Again, with the pink, and I'm just gonna let those blend. I'm gonna get more white. Actually, I want this to be a bit darker right around that edge. This is drying weird, so I'm gonna just add a little bit of my, whoops, water with a fine mist sprayer. I'm gonna use a clean dry brush and smudge that a bit. There we go. That, okay, it is, I'm not gonna change cameras. That is way more pink than what you're seeing. So I apologize, but it should look better as we get over here. I may actually have to adjust the camera a bit. It's working well for, let me get a couple more of these petals and the big ones, and then I think I'm gonna have to make some camera adjustments. You should still be that one. Actually, I should just do that now because that would be really hard for anyone following along. Camera 2. That looks better. I think the exposure is going to have to be manually. There we go. A little bit better. Whoops, too much. Kinda. The white balance isn't quite right. That's better, but not great. Let's leave it with that for now. I may have to adjust it again once we get going a bit more. Okay. Let's see. Let's start with the light pink again here. Let's add more white to it. So again, this one's more wet into wet than glazing. And we've got darker, and I'll build up the darks after this layer. We're going to do this in a few layers. I'm going to let that one dry. And which one are you? You are this one. You're actually a decent amount darker. And this brush has a bit of white on it, or it's actually that light pink. I'm going to come back through when that dries with lights and darks. That's just going to be my base layer for that petal. And this guy. Now see how the black, because I did the shading, how dark that is just by tinting the color there. I don't want to pull the light all the way in there because I want to leave that dark area. we'll be defining more of those stripes in a bit. Okay, which one are you? You're actually going to be this one. You're a lot darker here. I even want to get some black in towards the base more. Pull that up because this one's a lot darker. Okay, and this one, we've got the light up here and more of the glaze. We're going to switch to the red is mixed in with my deep violet. You could just do deep violet. You don't have to mix them. I'm going to pull that up. Take a clean, what other brush do I have over here? You might work. You might be, no, you'll work. I'm just going to smudge those a bit. And then we've got the definite, oops, let's reload that brush. It needs to be darker than that. This guy here is a lot darker. We're going to let that fade up. This is still going to be kind of a sloppy stage. Well, we still have the cleaning up and detail stuff in a bit. Would that be a bit streaky? I need some more black on that one. Oops, I accidentally just got white on it. That would have made a mess of gray. So now I'm taking black and pulling that in the deeper shadows while that's still wet. Okay. Are you dry enough? Maybe. Let's take the hairdryer to it really quick. I actually would like to finish those outer flowers before I move on to the other ones. Okay. Let's get some magenta and a little bit of that red. Now I'm glazing, so there's no white mixed in there. Take a clean brush that's slightly damp and smudge that up a bit. Making sure to pay attention where my streaks are. And I'm going to even pull some black into that mixture. This corner, let that pull up. Be a little bit more wet, so I'm going to get that wet with the fine mist sprayer. I'm going to rinse the brush. Oh, Pauline, I'll get you in just a second. Thank you. The boys will thank you too. I don't want to tell them yet though. Just smudging that around, dirtying that one up so that I can come back through with the white highlights. Because that's all wet, I'm going to use a little mop brush to soften that a bit. Okay, we will get one more. Do you boys want a super chat from Pauline? Thank you so much, Pauline. There you go, noms. Thank you. The crunches mean happy. Go lay down. 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 Hey, down. We're not going to just not listen to mom. Lay down. Rotten boys. They're like, but if we stand here, maybe there will be more. I'm just pulling in those streaks. We're kind of finishing up some of these outer petals. Now I have to be careful because some of this paint on this one is definitely still wet. So if I do too much with that, the blending brush that's slightly wet, that will just lift paint off. Same thing with this one. So I'm getting nice wet into wet blending. I just need to not overdo it. Just a few brush strokes. That one gets to be magenta. So let's actually rinse that brush and just take magenta. You are a much darker petal, so just glazing that color over there, although that has a lot of water, so I'm going to dab some up with the mop brush so it doesn't run. And I'm going to hair dry it so it doesn't run more. Oh, and I unplugged it. Tonight, night of all the technical difficulties. Come back, chair. I feel like starting the night off with the dryer sheet was like, it just let you know what the night was going to be like. Okay. So I've got the magenta. I need a bit of black in with that to darken that outer edge. Right in there. Same thing on this outer edge. You're fine. You, I'm going to pull a little bit more. Clean up that edge here. You're good. You're going to be a little bit darker too. Okay, those are basically done. Actually, I'm going to pull that out a little bit further just because I have that white line there. Okay, now we can move, let's see. I'm going to get some darker lines coming through here, being that I already have that on my brush. Same thing with you. Okay, let's rinse that brush. And I've got a couple more really big petals. Let's do those next. So starting with that light pink again. I hope all my technical difficulties aren't like precursor to the storm we've got coming into Texas. Everyone's kind of freaking out about it. They don't know for sure if we're going to have a ton of snow, hardly any. Everyone's scared that we're going to have another repeat of 2021. But I don't think we will because the temperatures aren't going to be that cold. So hopefully Texas doesn't handle snow well at all. That actually has the next 2 days off from work because it's going to snow. And not even that much, like 1.5 inches is kind of the main guess that they're giving us. And Texas has to close down because we don't know what to do about that. Clean brush, smudge that out. Jason said, grab a lot of TP. Yeah, that's what Texas does when they panic about stuff. And it was weird because last week we were cold, or this weekend where it started to get cold, people were already going and buying out like bread and milk in the stores. And it's like, it's cold, people. That doesn't mean it's not even that cold. It was really kind of like, are you serious right now? I'm going to actually make that blend a little bit easier on myself. Let's mist that with a fine mist sprayer and take a mop brush. Oh, much better. Although you need to be a little bit smoother right there. Okay. And then you need the darks in there. and the magenta. We're going to blend you up into the pink. I need more white. Let's just grab that. And I'm going to clean that brush and pull the darks in. I'm going to glaze red over that later. I'm going through this quickly because I'm running out of time with all my technical difficulties I had tonight. This shouldn't have been one that took me that long. Let's just soften that a bit. You look good. I'm happy with how it's coming out. It's just taking me a bit longer than I anticipated. Okay. Let's let those dry. I'm going to grab some magenta and red for this petal up here. This guy stays pretty dark, so that's just a straight glaze. He's got a little, okay, not straight glaze, I lied. We're going to add a little bit of white right in here. That came out good. Let's get some black. For this inner section and let that fade into the black that we have for the background. Leave it a bit streaky. Okay, let's do you. So the tip of that one is lighter. Rinse the brush, reload with magenta. And then we'll have black at the bottom, but we can just blend that way. Wipe that off, get some more black. Pull that into it so it's a nice soft fade. I'm gonna get that wet again. And where'd my mop brush go? Use the little mop brush. So this little mop brush I'm using, it's a Royal Soft Grip brush. They do shed. They shed pretty bad. That's why I don't use them often, but they're tiny, so they work for this. Well, I've got magenta on the brush. I may as well do that one. Get some more. And we're going to get a bit of white. Oh, I have way too much water on that brush. Let's just push that onto my paper towel and let that sop a bunch up. I need white and black. So we've got the white here, letting that blend while it's still wet in with the magenta. So we get those nice streaks. I cleaned that brush, so it's just damp, and I'm going to use that to blend that a bit. I'm going to come back through with a little bit more color saturation when that layer dries. And let's get this guy. I'm going to finish all of these outer petals and then do those separate. I need a lot of magenta for that. I keep saying magenta. I'm really just mixing red and, oh, we'll get that in just a second. Art by MB, thank you. I don't want to say it too loud or the boys will know, but I'm on a dry time issue thing with this. I'm going to pull that white down so that's softer and reload with black. I'm surprised the boys haven't figured out when I whisper and act like try to not act excited what that means yet. And I'm going to hype up the color saturation with magenta when that dries as more of an actual glaze. Okay. Oh, one more outer petal. We'll count it for the second, the other one. Do you boys want a super chat? And that's a yes. Oh, where did my other super chat pile go? They ate all the super chats out of the first bag. Thank you so much. Is that good? Go lay down. Down. Gibson, down. Gibson. He's like, but I don't want to listen. Okay, I'm going to dry this, and let's get the glazing and the detail, or like the cleaner edges on these outer petals. Go lay down. Down. Okay, color. We need color. So I'll thin that with more water. Now we'll start getting these really pretty bold colors on these. Try to get some of those streaks in there too. Clean, slightly damp brush. Actually, that's way too wet, but whatever. It's not slightly damp, that's just straight out wet. I'm going to use the mop brush just to sop some of that up. I want more red. Right in through here. So it fades into that magenta. I know, Jason said I used up all the talking time in the beginning with all my issues. I know, tonight it was just a little bit challenging. I'm trying to get done in time, but also I want this painting to be pretty, because if I don't sell it in the live stream, I still will be able to sell it on my website. Okay, I'm going to come through with a little bit of a glaze of a black, darken that up a bit. Okay. And let's rinse that brush. That red is standing out more than it will when it dries. It's not going to be that like blotchy. It's only that way because it's wet. What was I doing? Color. You're good. You can have a little bit more. Take a clean, slightly damp brush and smudge that out. Good. Maybe not that far. That a bit. I actually want to bring a bit more white into that while it's still wet, so it'll get a bit more of the wet into wet blending for some of these streaks. Right in there. And this one, I really don't need to go much darker. I just need to pull some of those lines in a bit, define those some. Take the clean, slightly damp brush. Couple of brush strokes there. There we go. Okay, this guy here. Let's pull a lot of dark. We need to push him. Well, he's probably back far enough, but he definitely needs some more color saturation. So we're going to glaze. Let's pull a little bit of the white. This is the fun part to me. I so enjoy all of the details and flowers. I'm really, especially after the wildflower one that I've been working on, I have just been loving painting flowers. I think you're going to see me painting those, like including them in wildlife paintings a lot more. They're time consuming, so I have to break the lessons up on Patreon into multiples, but so much fun. Get a little bit of white in here, because that one actually stands out a lot more. Make sure those edges stay nice and clean. I'll probably come through with a thinner brush to clean up edges a little bit more at the very end. Slightly go over those to soften that up. And that one, yeah, that one needs to fade into black. So let's get the magenta again, right at the edge. And then I'm going to load a little bit of black on the brush, just to get that nice transition, clean that up. Okay. Now, if you were painting a yellow flower, I would not likely be using black for almost any of this. I would be using magentas and purples for the shadow. Black is going to come out looking kind of greenish and muddy up against yellows. Definitely, oops, need a lot of color saturation right in here. We definitely need a lot of red, so I'm going to load a bit of that. Now I'm going to rinse that brush, reload it with some white, right for the tip. And then I'll use this brush with some black. Let's clean that up, make that nice and bold. Right now, because I had it mixed with so many other things, it was a little bit of a muddy black versus the dark that I want. Okay, next, let's do you. Oh yeah, this painting is definitely taking, if it wouldn't have had so many issues, like if I hadn't have put the black on too thick before I started the live stream as my base layer, like so many things tonight, this should have been able to be done by now. So glaze of the color, and now I'm going to rinse that, reload the brush with white, so that's not a glaze because that's more opaque, and put that just on the end here and let those two come together. Use a separate brush and just smudge those a bit, like that. And then I'm going to use that same brush that I smudged those together with some black. Make sure that's nice and dark. And then pull a bit of it out. And then the end here, clean that up. A little bit more water in that. Okay, next. So those are mostly done. Hold on, use the hairdryer there. Okay, let's do these little guys now. Start with the magenta. It's okay when I do the glaze if I go over the black, because just, oh, well, I'll be pulling more black into it again anyway. Little bit of white. Actually, let's use a separate brush for white. I'm going to use that for the black. More black. Smaller brush now for the white, since we are getting into the tinier areas. And this is where I won't be doing as much blending, just letting some of the white, the really bright areas show through. Okay. Again, red and deep violet. I've got too much red on that. Every time I say that, I always think of, what's the zombie movie? You Got Red on You. Like, best zombie movie ever. Okay, and our white. A little bit more. This is where I start letting a lot of the white, like I'll make the ends fade, but I'll leave the main white on the center of these stand out. And I'll also start doing that more. I've got to come through with a smaller brush to get a few of the detailed edges on some of these. Clean those up nice and clean. Okay. And then we have the black. Actually, you're getting too big. I need to swap this brush out now for another smaller one. What do I have? Too small. That'll do. More black. I'm going to take my color and just smudge those together a little bit there. Whoops, that has too much black on it now because I lifted too much of the color. A little bit more of the bold here. Video's locked up? No. Okay. Actually, I can make the rest of this part go even faster. Watch this. Because it's a glaze, and that is pretty much where I want it to be, I'll just have to pull in lights and darks then from that, and I can keep it wet while I work on it. Let's save some time here. I've got my magenta and some red, and we are just going to fill in all of those. Yay, time saving. But I kind of want this to stay wet while I blend, or while I'm adding the white and the black, so I will keep it wet with a fine mist sprayer. You can keep working one petal at a time if you're more comfortable with that. So just a little mist there, and back to my two smaller brushes that I was using then. I need you and you. Because most of this now we want to start letting it be more bold where the lights and the darks are. So I don't need to do, got hair stuck on there. I don't need to do a lot of blending. Give me your hair. I'm just looking at those light and dark shapes. Now, if you miss too much water, then your paint is not going to stick when you add the lights and the darks, so don't get that too wet. I may pull a bit more color into this too. Rose asked how the frogs are doing. I'm sure you can hear them in the background. They're all doing great. All the red-eyed tree frogs are good too. They're getting old. I think they're all like 4 years old this year. I mean, I guess that's not that old for a red-eyed tree frog, but yeah, I think it's, I want to say Glitch. It was like 4 years ago she ended up with the neurological disorder. I've been hand feeding, force feeding, actually she gets fed tonight, a frog for 4 years now. It's not what I thought I'd, like, wouldn't have been how I thought that having red-eyed tree frogs was going to go, but I'm super glad that it's working out. She's so cute. Okay, I'm going to dry this because I want to pull some more color into this too. Okay, now we're just going to clean some stuff up. I'm going to pull a little bit more highlighting, a little bit more shading. We're just about done. Actually, I can probably start answering your questions while we finish this up. Yeah, it's really hard to believe that it's been 4 years. All of them, even like I was looking at chicken, I think chicken we got 9 years ago. Like it's crazy, like, God, time flies. Luckily, birds live a long time. Most of them. Not canaries so much, but the rest of my birds should live a long time. Okay. Oh, we've got questions coming in, so I'll answer those while we finish this up. We'll do this a little bit different than usual tonight. Let's see, Jen had asked, whoops, what about using something like a layer of matte medium, referring to the slick background? You know what, I have never tried that. I don't know how well that would work. Because normally I don't need to. But it might, I really can't say for certain. It's a good suggestion. In theory, it should. I mean, normally it's just not a problem. Today I was in, this has been the whole day. It's one of those days that feels like it's never going to end. I'm just glazing paint to pull out more color saturation now. It definitely is one of those days. It is just never going to end. I mean, I had my dog food, the raw dog food delivery came today. I know people are saying don't feed raw because the bird flu and someone's cat got it, and from eating raw food, dogs aren't getting it yet. So at this point, I am not going to change from feeding raw. I considered it. But anyway, that came today. I had to finish the video because last night my battery ran out on my microphone. I was supposed to finish the Patreon video, the voiceover lesson last night. Battery died, and it was like almost 2 in the morning at that point. So I was like, screw it, I will just do it this morning. So I had to get up and do that before anything. Dog food I had to do, and then yesterday I had forgotten to mix I use RODI water for my beta because I was having a lot of problems with betas getting cancer. So I'm not sure it's not from our city water, because ever since I moved here is when I started having problems with that. So I decided to, for this beta, I've had him since, when did I get him, like May or June or whatever. I've been using RODI, but I forgot to mix his yesterday. Or mix you have to remineralize it. I forgot to mix that in before the water change. So normally he gets a water change on Monday, so he got it today, but I don't normally, it was just one more thing I had to do today, which did not, yeah, today has just been a very long day. Like, I could go on and on with a list of things that I had to do that I don't normally have to do on a Wednesday, so maybe that's part of why my brain is all flustered. But it seems to be one of those everything going wonky sorts of days. Although my favorite part still, I'm loving the dryer sheet in my shirt. That's pretty funny to me. Like, that just sums up my day. Like, that's the sort of thing. Like, nothing bad, and that's the thing, like, nothing bad has happened. It's only, like, minor inconveniences where you're like, ah, now this. So I can't really complain because it's been fine. Like nothing that couldn't be solved, just extra stuff. I'm just glazing these more bold color over a few of these. I'm going to do the same thing to make the black a little bit darker in a couple of spots and then come through with highlights and we will be done. Okay. Next we have I tried gesso board? Yeah, I didn't like it. And it may, to be fair, it was something I bought back when Aaron Brothers was a thing years ago. It is entirely possible theirs was terrible. I don't know. It was like the paint. I tried it for oil paint first, and I didn't like how the paint was just soaking into it weird. It just didn't work well for the way that I like to paint. I imagine maybe a different style. I don't know. Like, I could see it being okay for certain things, but I didn't like it, and I never bought it again. But it's possible a lot of the Aaron Brothers stuff was just crap. So it's entirely possible that I'm judging it based on quality because I didn't try it enough to be like, I don't like gesso board for these reasons. I couldn't do a full review on that. Just my one experience was like, yeah, no, I think I'll stick with canvas. Red Metal said, as a beginner for painting, is it better to glaze or should I try to get the actual color to learn to mix paints? Both, but when you're first starting, glazing is just so much easier. I am a huge fan of glazing anyway, and glazing looks better, honestly. Just a quick, on my brushes that I'm obsessed with, this one is getting loose. I'm going to definitely end up having to glue that. That is so going to come off. But I don't care because for the price and for how much I like the brush, it's fine, but I can tell, like, even when can you hear it? It's making like a clicky sound. It's that loose. But anyway, what were we talking about? I got glazing. So glazing is something that I do in everything. Like there is very rarely a time where I do a painting that there isn't glazing involved. I can't think of a single, unless I'm doing heavy brush strokes like more impressionistic or palette knife style. But that is always a good thing to learn and really master. It makes the work look more, it gives you more depth. I am a huge fan of glazing, but I mean, you're going to learn to mix colors anyway. I just would rather learn to do that kind of on a separate layer if possible. I don't think that there's necessarily a right or a wrong way to learn. I mean, you could do whichever way you want. As far as like, should I learn blending first or glazing first? It doesn't really matter, but glazing definitely breaks it. I mean, even here, well, if you look at the wildflower video, if you're over on Patreon and you watch that video, I do a lot of glazing on those too. So it's not just about making it easier. I just like the look. I'm just pulling out a few highlights. I'm making mine a little bit brighter than what I see in the reference photo, just because I think it looks nice. Notice that I'm not just outlining everything. I'm hitting points that are a bit brighter. Like just little spots. Stephanie said, colored pencil question. Do you lay down your light fast colors first and then lightest colors first, sorry, not light fast, and then darker colors, for example, do highlights first and then darker colors? Usually, yes. There are times, depending on what I'm doing, that I might do the reverse, but normally, yes, it's easier with colored pencil, it's always easier to make something darker than it is to make it lighter. So usually, I will start with my lights and then darken as I go. Not always. Sometimes I start with a mid-range and then add lights and darks from there. Again, if you want to bid on this flower, now that you can see it actually is coming out pretty. I know it was questionable in the beginning stages. I told you those beginning stages are ugly. That is available for $75 for starting bid over on my website. Although I could probably give this, my mother-in-law loves pink. I have a feeling she would really like this. So if it doesn't sell, maybe I'll just save it for Mother's Day or something. That is so lazy of me. I'm like, hey, look, I could get off the hook easy with something I already have. Whatever, stop judging me. She's very hard to shop for. Let's see. Patty said, I did your polar bear in pan pastel and colored pencil. Do you recommend a final layer of Spectrafix over everything and then? Yes. That's always a good idea. D. Bazin Art said, is it safe archival to put white ink on graphite charcoal work? I've seen some artists using white ink for whiskers and fur and highlights. You should be okay. As long as it dries on that okay, you should be fine. It's not like colored pencils, because colored pencils are a wax, like an oil-based material, so we don't want to be putting a water base over that. But for graphite and colored pencils, yeah. I mean, it's obvious that it's not graphite. That's the thing. I don't do it because I don't like how it looks. Unless you're going for something more stylized, it's going to be really obvious that's not a part of the pencil. Like, it really stands out to me. But if you like the look, it's not like, that's an opinion. That's not an issue of being archival. Like, it's just not my preference. I've seen it done where it is really pretty though. So, I mean, it's not like it can't be amazing. But as far as being archival, yeah, you should be fine. As long as it sticks. Sometimes it's kind of hard. If you've got the graphite on there super, where you've almost polished it, where it's super shiny, then nothing sticks well long-term to that. It's more likely to bead up on you than really stick. Charcoal won't be an issue, though. Erin said, how many and what kind of birds do you have? We've got 2 Indian ringnecks. I always say 2 like we got a pair from to hang out. No, they actually hate each other. Well, sushi's, what's a nice word for lady of the night? Because that's what sushi is. Have fun explaining that to your kids. Loki hates her, our male ringneck, which thank God, because we're not letting them have babies. We've got 2 parrotlets. Matt's is Nugget. I have French fry. I have a canary, and then of course we have Chicken the cockatiel. He was named Chicken well before Chicken Thoughts official started. I feel like after that comic started, everyone started naming their cockatiels Chicken. Ours was already named Chicken. Therapy Art for You said, do you use golden pastel ground? I have not. So I can't tell you how to apply it because it's not something I've used. Not saying it's bad, I just don't know anything about it. So I guess, what is that? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 birds. Wait, no, that's not how you count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 birds. I'm adding extra birds in there. I mean, I wouldn't mind extra birds, but I don't need more animals. I kind of want more parrotlets. I would have all parrotlets if I had my way. That is my favorite. I love those little guys. They're so cute. I'll try to bring Nugget in French fry in next week. Tonight didn't work out because I am gonna apparently paint right up until the end of the live stream, but it's worth it because I'm really liking this painting. Just adding some of these more defined lights now. Erin said, I'm trying to follow along. I missed the boat on what exactly you mean by glazing, and it's not working out. Glazing is just transparent color over your base. The problem I was having earlier on was just that my paint is drying way faster than it normally does. So it's almost like if you were working with, this is a common problem with Liquitex Basics and Liquitex Heavy Body, Liquitex Soft Body, and Goldens. Like, most acrylic paints have a high gloss tone. The crap generic ooh, don't say the swear words, Lisa, from Hobby Lobby. They are glossy and they dry weirdly fast when it gets that gloss to it. Like, it's really annoying to layer, and that's kind of the problem that I was having. It was just because I didn't use enough water when I painted my base because I was in a rush like everything else today. It's just been one of those days, and my black paint was on too thick. Now, the finished painting, it's fine. It's beautiful. It was just a little bit more challenging for me, so there was that. But glazing is just transparent paint, so no white, just the paint thinned down with water in my case because I don't like glazing mediums to tint the color. Let's see, we have Pauline said, come on, we only need 1 more. We are 9 out of 10 super chats. I'd actually, if they get 10 super chats, come. Thank you, Pauline. I have to go get carrots. Ow! Those are fingers. You don't say the swear word, Lisa. Yeah, you can eat it off the floor if you're going to be chompy. Anyway, carrots are in the fridge still. Can we ask from now on about the dryer sheet? You go right ahead. That is hilarious to me. It's not as bad. Okay. Embarrassing story I should never tell. This is embarrassing. The dryer sheet's not embarrassing. That's just funny to me. This one was embarrassing. I was working at Michael's. I used to run the classroom just to make sure my classes were scheduled when I wanted it to. But anyway, I was walking down the aisle with the manager. I just got to work, and she looks down and she's like, is there something coming out of your pants? I had underwear coming out from the dryer, like I'd gotten ready for work, and I always wear like the boot cut jeans, so they're loose on my legs, and I didn't know underwear was hanging out. Like, oh yeah, that's mine. Let me just put those in my pocket. I was like, whoops, walking down the aisle, underwear hanging out of my legs. So yeah. Okay, stories I probably shouldn't tell people that happened. Lay down. Gibson, lay down. So dryer sheet, not that big of a deal in comparison. That was in public. I mean, I guess I'm on kind of in public. Well, I guess I'm in front of more people right now than I was at Michael's, but dryer sheet's just funny to me. I guess the underwear is funny too, but that was embarrassing. Actually, let me switch brushes. I want to use a slightly larger brush to make my darks a bit darker. They look pretty dark on the camera, but I want them even darker. Because I don't want this painting. We put this much work into this painting because of all the challenges. Let's make it really good. Put a little bit more work into it. You can bid on it for $75. If I do end up putting it on my website, it'll probably be up there for about $250. So if you want it at a discount, you need to do that tonight before the live, or, you know, before the auction ends in 8 minutes. This is definitely not a $75 painting. It is, I would certainly charge more for it if I end up selling it separately or non-live stream. I'm just taking that black, kind of lightly going over some of the areas I want a bit darker. You probably can't see what I'm doing now. It's just that in person when it dries and I put the varnish over it, I want a bit of this to be a bit darker. There we go. Okay, I guess that's really it. I like how this guy came out. It may have been a rough start to the night, and it is a little bit more pink in person. Let me dry it so we don't get the glaze, or the glare. Oh, I need to sign it. Oh, I want a few more white streaks. I lied, I'm not quite done. You see areas that I think I could do some improvement on? May as well do it. I just want a few more of... Not that much. There we go. Need a bit of water. That is dry too fast because that is the problem of the night. The dark frogs agree. Paint is dry all over the palette already. Post a picture when it's varnished? Heck no. You can't. I don't take pictures after it's varnished. You can't see anything. Like it's really hard to photograph things once they've been varnished because the glare. All you get is glare. I can do a video of varnishing it though. I'll do that and post it as a short. Okay. Let me show you what that looks like in this camera. Oh wait, I've got to sign it. Let's sign. Let's use that brush. And where do I want to sign it? I am signing here. Let's see how well that shows up. Let me... I need to pull more white. Sorry, I've got to do this. When I do the little writing like that, it is hard to do at the easel. I am going to pull that into my lap. Okay, there is the signature at the bottom corner. And I will show you what this looks like. Hopefully it shows the color a bit better because it has got much more pink than what I think the other camera is showing. Yeah, there is the finished painting. Oh, I'm loving how this came out. God, it might look good if I kept it. That is, it's a bit rough to start because of all the challenges that I was having. But yeah, there is the finished painting. Again, you've got 3 minutes if you're in the US and you want to bid on this for $75. So there we go. 8 by 10. Oh, I love it. I'm so happy with how that came out, which is saying something because this was a rough night to start. Not the painting, like I knew it always starts that way. It's just when I start running out of time, you're like, am I going to be able to get everything done on it I want? I was. Oh, I had a separate, oh no, I didn't. I got it. Okay. And let's see. Did we have any other questions that I'm missing on our last 3 minutes? I don't know what Matt is cooking, but it does not smell right in here right now. I think we're caught up. Are we good? I think we are good. I got glitched during the lockdown. Yeah, I did. The end of that. So like, I think it was October of 2020 is when I got glitch and her siblings, and we went through the problem with, I got them from Josh's frogs, but they all came with 2 different types of parasites. We cured one. They still had another. The medication used to cure the second parasite. So I'd already lost 2 frogs because Josh's frogs apparently does not test for parasites before they send their animals out. But, and then try to go claim it was my husbandry was the possible problem. And when I told them, like I took it to a vet, here was the problem, they just kind of dismissed it. So they refunded me on one of them, but I'm like, that doesn't even cover the vet bill, let alone the two that died because you sent me sick frogs, but whatever, that's a whole other. I actually like Josh's frogs, but that still annoys me. Anyway, the second medication is what caused a neurological disorder and glitch. Her sister's fine, she was not. And I think that medication, it was one I was getting from the UK. And the guy who got it, he would get it from South Africa, rebottle it in his own smaller bottles. And I think the mixture, he was not shaking up all the way. That's all I can think of because like the dose, it was too strong. But I ended up breaking that bottle after Glitch and her sister were treated. I broke the bottle and had to order a new one. I order a new one and I'm like, I'll just use like half the dosage or whatever. I had another frog that I got from somewhere else that also had parasites. I see that one, SJWW. I'm going to go get that in a second. But they, the next batch, it wouldn't cure the same parasite, would not cure the frog, even though it overdosed glitch. So I think that the company that was getting it and mixing it, you know, getting it from Africa, and then, or I think it was South Africa, and then sending it up to the UK, I think when he bottled it, he wasn't shaking it well, and we were getting a different, we were not getting the same dose in each bottle. So let me go. Yeah, we got it. Thank you so much, SJW. Thank you to everyone for the super chats. I have to go grab carrots. You boys stay. We're going to run a couple minutes late because I've got to give you your reward. We got the 10. Oh, it smells terrible out here, husband. What did you make? Oh, that does not smell okay. That's not what it does not smell what it looks like. Does it taste good? It does. It smells like burnt. Okay. So we have earned our full size. This is the boys. They think these are like the best treats ever. Oh, Wade started to get up, but stopped himself because he didn't want to miss out. He's sighing. He's like, I really want that carrot. Come. Thank you guys. So you can't, Gibson, you can't take the same one. You got your own. That is their favorite chew stick is like happiest day is when they get the full carrot to go, and they always take it to their beds and go chew on it. So they are very happy. So thank you very much. Cat's Art Pig said, so sorry to hear you went through so much distress with your frogs. Oh my gosh, it was so sad too. Losing baby red-eyed tree frogs because they're the cutest little things. Like it was so heartbreaking. It sucked. I found somebody, actually someone who lives in the Netherlands is who helped me go through, like now I know how to check on a microscope. I actually need to do that, but I can check their stool on my own and check for parasites. So, because they get it from eating crickets, which is all they eat. So yeah, I luckily found people who were able to help me, and Glitch is still wobbly. She still kind of walks in circles and kind of like twitches a little, but she's active and seems good. She just can't catch her food. Like she'll be ready to pounce on the cricket, and she goes the opposite direction. Like she jumps, like she knows what she's looking at, but then her body's like, nope, that way. So when she climbs around the enclosure, she takes her baths, everything is fine, but she can't catch food. So I have to do that tonight, actually, twice a week. Now that she's an adult, I only have to do it twice a week. But I have to use a credit card, actually it's an expired Costco card, to pop her mouth open and shove unalived crickets in there, dusted with their vitamins. And it's a whole thing, but she's adorable and it's worth it. Let's see. Can you hear the chomping? I don't know if the microphone picks that up, but those are some happy dogs right now. Like seriously, happy, happy boys. This is the best day ever. Like they ignore me. They don't even care about me now. They got carrots. That's all they care about. No one's name is Frog Legs, Jason. Let's see. I think we're done. We'll let them chomp away. Thank you guys so much for the super chats. Thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you with all the problems I had in the beginning. I left too, so it didn't actually sell. So I didn't even need to go through the trouble of fixing the auction. That could have been avoided. But anyway, thank you guys. I'm sure I'll be posting, well, I'll be talking to you in Discord. I'm sure we'll talk later tonight for those of you who are over on our Discord. If you're members over on Patreon, for as little as $6 a month, you get access to all of my longer lessons. I have over 400 longer real-time lessons. Some are real-time, some are sped up slightly when I keep repeating the same thing, like I show you real-time and then go into that. Tons of videos over there, but you also get access to our Discord chat. So we just chat. You can share photos of what you're working on in progress, your sketchbooks, your plants, your pets. I think we were talking about the fires last night, so that's not a positive thing to talk about. But you can hang out with us. So make sure, if you have not already, join our Discord. And if you need the link for the Discord, if you are a member of Patreon and you don't have the link, go over. It might have expired. Sometimes it expires. It should work. Message me if it doesn't. But if you go to our sketchbook prompt, I think that link is not set to expire if I did it right. But probably not, because I have screwed everything up today. I will see you guys. Let's see. Red Metal said, I'm a member. How do I join the Discord? So go patreon.com/Lacree. Scroll down to our sketchbook prompts, and I have the link there. If that doesn't work, leave a comment on that post or just message me and I will update it with a new one. If I did my job right, it wasn't supposed to expire, but sometimes I screw that up. So anyway, that is it. That is the thing. I'll see you guys over in me and French Fry I'll probably be sending you selfies with me and French Fry. We'll be over in Discord in a little bit. And that's it. I'll see you guys. Thank you again so much. Oh, check out our moderators channel. That is hard to say, apparently. Links are in the video description. That's it. I'll talk to you later. Bye.